Okay, so we want to build this circuit in Tinkercad. We don't have this exact same component in Tinkercad, but we have one that's really close to it. So we're going to need a 7-segment display. We're going to need our 7-segment decoder, and we're going to need some switches. So first switch from basic to all. Then we're going to need one of these set of 4 switches. We are going to need a 7-segment display. We will need a breadboard. We will need a power supply. And then all the way at the very bottom is the 7-segment decoder. So I'll run power to my breadboard. We need to bring power into our chip. So that's pin 16 up here. We need it to run to ground also. So that's down here. And now let's look at this chip. It's got, these are the outputs, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't know why it's like that. Maybe after a couple of years of teaching this class, I'll figure that out. Then we've got our inputs down here. Input 2, input 3, those are the middle digits. Lamp test, blanking, those need to go to power. And then latch enable needs to go to ground. So what I'm going to do is latch enable is supposed to go to ground. And then blanking and lamp test need to go to power. So now I have both of these running the power supply and then the latch enable running to ground. So then we need to wire our inputs, right? Input 1 is our least significant digit. And that one is going to be the switch all the way on the right, even though the numbering is going to be backwards for these. This is the one on the right is your least significant digit. That's the ones place. So that's going to be input 1. So we need to and since all those inputs are on the bottom, I'm going to run little jumper wires down here. Or I could, if I wanted to, instead of doing that, instead of running those jumper wires, I could just put my switch down here. Going from the positive, and then, oh, it's not quite big enough to hook on there. You could wire it if you wanted, but I'll just put it up here for now. And then put these wires, these jumpers back. Okay, so switch number 4 is our least significant bit, so that needs to go to input 1. So I'm going to run a wire from input 1 over to hook up with switch 4, which is our least significant bit. Then input 4, that needs to be our most significant bit, so that's going to be switch 1. So it's like 1 goes to 1, input 1 goes to switch 4, input 4 goes to switch 1. So then input 3 would go to switch 2, and then input 2 would go to switch 3. Okay, so we've got input 1, we need to do input 4. And that's going to go all the way over here to switch 1. Then we need input 2 to go to switch 3. And input 3 to go to switch 2. So now we've got the switches wired into the decoder. Next, we just need to run our wires from over to our 7-segment display. So here's G. We've got G and F up here. So this is G. I'll run a wire over to that was G, so I just need to find G over here, row 9. This one is F. F is in row 8. This one's common. This one's A. So I'm going to run a wire for A. And that needs to go to row 10. And then B. And B goes to row 11. And then let's see, we've got E, D, and C down here. C, D, and E. Okay, so for E, that's E. And then D. And then C. And then, so this would be common cathode. So we need to make sure that we I want the little box to show up. You know how the little box shows up? I need to make sure that this is common cathode. Let me see if this will let me switch now. Okay, I'll just replace it. B going over to B. All right, so we're still good. C going over to C. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a resistor. and connect it to the common cathode and set it to be 220 ohms and see how that works. Okay, so now let's try a simulation. So right now, all 4 switches are off. So that's 0, 0, 0, 0, which should be 0. So if I hit the simulation right now, it should show 0 on the 7-segment display. And it does. So then if I hit switch 4, then it would be 0, 0, 0, 1, which is 1. Then if I hit switch 3, then it would be 0, 0, 1, 1, which is 3. If I turn off switch 4, that'll drop it back down to 2. I wonder if any better, or is that about the same? Like as far as the brightness on the numbers? Okay, so then this would be, so this is a 4 plus 2 is 6. What about if I hit this? If I hit the switch 1, then it would be 8 plus 4 is 12. What do you think it would show? Right, it was either going to be nonsense or blank, right? So with this controller, apparently this controller just says output nothing if the input is more than 9. You can have 8 and you can have 9. Can't have 10 or 11 or 15. Okay, so I think that the assignment will just be to make this circuit in Tinkercad and make sure you can get it to work. Let me go ahead and stop.